Good day, students, and welcome to today's webinar on communication skills. My name is Bianca Brits, registered counselor at Student Counselling and Development on Nonverbal Park campus. Today, we will be discussing some helpful communication skills. The topics we will be covering are as follows: defining effective communication, what is stopping you from communicating effectively, communication skills, engaged listening, nonverbal skills, keeping stress in check, and assertiveness. Some I statements and reflections. We all face a time in our life where we wish we could communicate better. The tips discussed today will help you to avoid misunderstandings, grasp the real meaning of what's being communicated, and greatly improve your relationships. Effective communication is about more than just exchanging information. It's about understanding the emotion and intentions behind the information. As well as being able to clearly convey a message, you need to also listen in a way that gains the full meaning of what's being said and makes the other person feel heard and understood. Effective communication sounds like it should be instinctive. But all too often, when we try to communicate with others, something goes astray. We say one thing, the other person hears something else, and misunderstandings, frustrations, and conflict ensues. This can cause problems in your home, school, and work relationships. For many of us, communicating more clearly and effectively requires learning some important skills. So what is keeping you from communicating effectively? Some common barriers to effective communication include stress and out of control emotion. When you're stressed or emotionally overwhelmed, you're more likely to misread other people, send confusing or off-putting nonverbal signals, and lapse into unhealthy knee-jerking patterns of behavior. To avoid conflict and misunderstandings, you can learn how to quickly calm down before continuing a conversation. A lack of focus. You can't communicate effectively when you're multitasking. If you're checking your phone, planning what you're going to say next, or daydreaming, you're almost certain to miss nonverbal cues in the conversation. To communicate effectively, you need to avoid distractions and stay focused. Inconsistent body language. Nonverbal communication should reinforce what is being said, not contradict it. If you say one thing, but your body language says something else, your listener will likely feel that you're being dishonest. For example, you can't say yes while shaking your head no. Negative body language. If you disagree or dislike what's being said, you might use negative body language to reject the other person's message, such as crossing your arms, avoiding eye contact, or tapping your feet. You don't have to agree with or even like with what's being said, but to communicate effectively and not put the other person on the defensive, it's important to avoid sending negative signals. Effective communication skills. So 1, become an engaged listener. When communicating with others, we often focus on what we should say. However, effective communication is less about talking and more about listening. Listening well means not just understanding the words or the information being communicated, but also understanding the emotions of the speaker, the emotions the speaker is trying to convey. There's a big difference between engaged listening and simply hearing. When you really listen, when you're engaged with what's being said, you'll hear the subtle intonations in someone's voice that tell you how that person is feeling and the emotions they're trying to communicate. When you're an eager listener, not only will you better understand the other person, You'll also make that person feel heard and understood, which can help build a stronger, deeper connection between the two of you. Focus fully on the speaker. You can't listen in an engaged way if you're constantly checking your phone or thinking about something else. Avoid interrupting or trying to redirect the conversation to your concerns. By saying something like, "If you think that's bad, let me tell you what happened to me." Listening is not the same as waiting for your turn to talk. You can't concentrate on what someone's saying if you're forming what you're going to say next. Show your interest in what's being said. Nod occasionally, smile at the person, and make your posture open and inviting. Encourage the speaker to continue with small verbal comments like yes and uh-huh. Try to set aside judgment. In order to communicate effectively with someone, you don't have to like them or agree with their ideas, values, or opinions. However, you do need to set aside your judgment and withhold blame and criticism in order to fully understand them. Provide feedback. If there seems to be a disconnect, reflect on what's being said by paraphrasing. "What I'm hearing is," or "sounds like you are saying," are great ways to reflect back. Hearing the emotion behind the words will help you to better be attuned to the needs of the speaker and enable you to respond more effectively. Pay attention to nonverbal signals. The way you look, listen, move, and react to other people tells them more about what you're feeling than the words ever could. Nonverbal communication, or body language, includes facial expressions, body movements, and gestures, eye contact, posture, the tone of your voice, and even your muscle tension and breathing. Improve how you read nonverbal communication. Be aware of individual differences. People from different countries and cultures tend to use different nonverbal communication gestures. So it's important to take age, culture, religion, gender, and emotional state into account when reading body language signals. Look at nonverbal communication skills as a group. Don't read too much into a single gesture or nonverbal cue. Consider all the nonverbal signals you receive, from eye contact to tone of voice to body language. Anyone can slip up occasionally and let eye contact go, for example, or briefly cross their arms without meaning to. Consider the signals as a whole to get a better read on a person. Improve how you deliver nonverbal communication. Use nonverbal signals that match up with your words rather than contradicting them. If you say one thing but your body language says something else, your listener will feel confused or suspect that you're being dishonest. Adjust your nonverbal signals according to the context. The tone of your voice, for example, should be different when you're addressing a child than when you're addressing a group of people or adults. Similarly, take into account the emotional state and cultural background of the person you're interacting with. Avoid negative body language. Instead, use body language to convey positive feelings, even when you're not actually experiencing them. If you're nervous about a situation, a job interview, important presentation, or a first date, for example, you can use positive body language to signal confidence, even though you're not feeling it. Instead of tentatively entering a room with your head down, eyes averted, and sliding into a chair, try standing tall with your shoulders back, smiling and maintaining eye contact, and delivering a firm handshake. It will make you feel more self-confident and help to put other persons at ease. Keep stress in check. How many times have you felt stressed during a disagreement with your partner, group, lecturer, or friends, and then said or done something you later regretted? If you can quickly relieve stress and return to a calm state, you will not only avoid such regrets, but in many cases, you'll also help to calm the other person down as well. It's only when you're in a calm, relaxed state that you'll be able to know whether the situation requires a response or whether the other person's signals indicate it would be better to remain silent. Communicate effectively by staying calm under pressure. Use stalling tactics to give yourself time to think. Ask for a question to be repeated or clarification of a statement before you respond. Pause to collect your thoughts. Silence isn't necessarily a bad thing. Pausing can make you seem more in control than rushing your response. Make one point and provide an example or supporting piece of information. If your response is too long or you waffle about a number of points, you risk losing the listener's interest. Deliver your words clearly. In many cases, how you say something can be as important as what you say. Speak clearly, maintain an even tone, and make eye contact. Keep your body language relaxed and open. Wrap up with a summary and then stop. Summarize your response and then stop talking. Even if it leaves a silence in the room, you don't have to fill the silence by continuing to talk. Assertiveness. Direct, assertive expression makes for clear communication and can help boost your self-esteem and decision-making skills. Being assertive means expressing your thoughts, feelings, and the needs in an open and honest way, while standing up for yourself and respecting others. It does not mean being hostile, aggressive, or demanding. Effective communication is always about understanding the other person, not about winning an argument or forcing your opinions on others. To improve your assertiveness, value yourself and your opinions. They are just as important as anyone else's. Know your needs and wants. Learn to express them without infringing on the rights of others. Express negative thoughts in a positive way. It's okay to be angry, but you must remain respectful as well. Receive feedback positively. Accept compliments graciously. Learn from your mistakes. Ask for help when needed. Learn to say no. Know your limits and don't let others take advantage of you. Look for alternatives so everyone feels good about the outcomes. I statements. When a person feels that they are being blamed, it is common that they respond with defensiveness. I statements is when we use emotional words to give an explanation. For instance, I feel, emotion word, when, explanation. I feel must be followed with an emotion word such as hurt, worried, or anxious. Careful wording won't help you if your voice still sounds blaming. In your explanation, gently describe how the other person's actions affected you. For example, the blaming statement would sound like, "You can't keep coming home so late. It's so inconsiderate." Whereas the I statement, you would rephrase it to say, "I feel worried when you come home late. I can't even sleep." Another example, a blaming statement sounds like, "You never ever call me. I guess we just don't talk anymore." Whereas the I statement would sound like, "I feel hurt when you go so long without calling. I'm afraid you don't care." Reflections, similar to I statements, is using a technique that can help you to be a better listener. When reflecting, you will repeat back what someone has just said to you, but in your own words. This shows that you didn't just hear the other person, but you are trying to understand them. Reflecting what another person says can feel funny at first. You might think the other person would be annoyed at you for repeating them. However, when used correctly, reflections receive a positive reaction and drive a conversation forward. Here's an example. The speaker: I get so angry when you spend so much money without telling me. We are trying to save for that vacation. Whereas the reflection would be then, we're working so hard to save for a vacation, so it's really frustrating when it seems like you don't care. So, that is all from my side today. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to today's topic on communication skills, and I hope that you learned something worthwhile. For more information, questions, or if you have the need to reach out to student counseling and development, you can contact us at the following avenues. Also, don't forget about our Fundi page, where you can make online bookings with members of staff and receive additional information on numerous topics. Thanks again for attending, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.